month of September is observed as a tourism month. It's celebrated annually to promote domestic travel, to showcase the country's diverse tourism offerings, and to highlight the sector's significant contribution to the South African economy. The sector was the hardest hit by COVID-19, but it is slowly recovering. For more on this, we are joined by the chairperson of the Culture, Arts, Tourism, Hospitality and Sports Sector Education and Training Authority, Themba Ndhlovu. That's Kath Sita. Themba, good morning to you. Thank you so much for joining us. I want to start with the point that I made in that intro, right? COVID-19 obviously having the worst impact on the tourism sector. A few years on, how is the sector doing in recovering, and where are some of the spots that still need a lot of work?
Indeed, thank you very much, Naledi. The COVID-19 situation really had a bad impact on us as a sector, but we are recovering quite impactfully at this stage. And also, by the way, we are bigger than just the tourism. We also have areas of tourism, sports, heritage, as well as other sectors that are under our SITA, the CAT SITA, including the whole of hospitality, indeed.
Yeah, and obviously we want to focus on tourism since it is Tourism Month, and I want to look at some of the data. I mean, one of the challenges that we've had, of course, is really trying to bring life back into some of the areas of our country where tourism is concerned. For instance, areas like KwaZulu-Natal. Let's talk about some of the challenges that have slowed down the progress in the tourism sector post-COVID-19.
Yes, the biggest challenge that we've had indeed has been the slowing down in the foreign and international travels, making our tourism get slow. We have seen a major pickup in domestic tourism. Major instances of, for example, the problems that we've had with the quality of our waters in the beaches has also had an impact on the occupancy rates of our establishments, but people also started picking up at municipalities, are backing with those and dealing with those effectively.
Yeah, but of course there are some of the images that we may project to the world around crime in South Africa, and that not really helping the situation when we try and encourage international tourists into the country. Let's talk a little bit about that. I mean, just last week we looked at the crime stats in the country and violent crime on the increase, what that does to the story that we tell to the world.
It is very important that we keep working very hard on the issue of crime and addressing the crime statistics. Indeed, the slight drop that is being reported goes a long way into changing the views about our country and the safety and security of our people, and therefore paints a positive picture in the world that allows for improved travel. We are indeed seeing a slight shift in the pages in that regard, and we're hoping that government and the security clusters will do the best in order to improve this. Yeah. When we move towards our conference tomorrow, some of the things we'll be looking at are all those issues that impact on the whole sector as such, but more importantly, on the skills of the people that we train as sitters for our industries.
Yeah, and we'll get into what's going to be taking place at that conference, because there's obviously going to be quite a bit of activity as we get into September. But let's look at some legislative challenges perhaps that we still have. I mean, there's been a big conversation around the need for the Department of Home Affairs, for instance, to have a good and close working relationship with the tourism sector, particularly where accessing other countries really is concerned. And I know that at the moment South Africa has visa waivers for 132 countries. In your view, have we given them to the right people and sufficiently?
Yes, indeed. We are doing very well in that regard, but certainly there could be more that can still be done at all times. Improvement is always a step away, and you keep going on and improving all the while. We are targeting the right markets and seeing impact and growth in those regards. We can do more.
Yeah, are we seeing sufficient intra-Africa travel though? Because there is a sense that we're, speaking to the international market and not necessarily the market right next to ours, and that a lot of the movement between the countries on the continent mostly economic and not for tourism reasons.
Yes, indeed. This goes from just starting from in Tena, in the country itself. Domestic travel and domestic tourism have to improve. You're absolutely correct. There is a need for us to look into InterAfrica, and the move into that is slowly on the uptake, but we can see with departments is to ensure that we market the country more so that we are able to actually improve more on the side of tourism as well as we are doing in the economy at the moment.
What are the new trends that have come up post-COVID-19? I mean, I think about how certainly during the pandemic, everybody learning to work from home, and now you might have some professionals traveling and working at the same time.
Yes, indeed, it has actually. You would notice how, for example, you go to a restaurant and you find 4 or 5 people sitting with their laptops, busy going in their engagements, office space and office space as such down. Of course, there's been major developments recently that seem to suggest that for some sectors of our workforce, working from home has not been as productive for very large. Impact of COVID and the lockdowns and the coming in of technology in advancement of workspaces has indeed improved the manner and in which we do business, and in many instances increased productivity as well. In the sense that the flexibility in the hours that people have now working from home, the amount of time that they spend rather than in the roads, in traffic, and all of that has actually seen productivity levels going high, in particular for the middle and high management layers of our workforce.
Yeah, just before I let you go, let's talk a little bit about skills, right? The skills that are necessary and what CATSETA is doing to stimulate that. You know, I think back perhaps over a decade, you'd hear quite a few young people say, no, I want to study travel and tourism. Is this sector still attractive to young people that are coming out of the schooling system, and what opportunities are available? Let's talk about that.
The biggest challenge we are facing at the moment is what is a match between the skills that we are training for as well as what the industry is actually looking for in terms of the people that we are producing. We are finding a lot of young people taking into the skills in the tourism sector. What we are doing as a sector is to ensure that we get all our parties, all the stakeholders in the form of government, departments in the form of industry, in terms of our training institutions such as technical vocational education institutions, so that the training that we provide is to the mark and relevant across all sectors. Yeah. That is what our major focus in this conference is going to be about.
Well, tell us about the details of the conference and also where people go to access opportunities in the tourism sector as offered by CATSETA.
Yes, the conference will be taking place tomorrow, Wednesday at the Backwood. It will be both physical and virtual. So in getting to the CATSETA side, there will be detail on how to also log in. We are looking at covering over 750,000 people onto 700 people who will be attending the conference, both virtually as well as physically. And the main aim, indeed, as I've articulated, is to find a way of getting all our people in the sector sitting together to say, over the last 30 years, this is what we've been able to achieve, but certainly there is more we can achieve. The statistics show a high level of unemployment amongst our youth, and especially our sectors are the ones that can absorb a lot more of the youth, and therefore we're going to be sharpening our skills and our thinking on what it is we need to do in order to ensure that we reach out to more people and we get them employed.
Yeah. Well, we really hope that people will come out, take a look at CATSETA's work and access some of those opportunities. Lots of unemployed young people in the country that, of course, would do great in representing the country in the tourism sector. Themba Ndhlovu, the chairperson of CATSETA. That's the Culture, Arts, Tourism, Hospitality and Sports Sector Education and Training Authority.